Okay, so we are live now and for this post-match show. And as you all know, that today, or rather from today onwards, we'll be joined by one of the best English spinners, Mr. Monty Panesar. So without taking much of your time, let's quickly add the guest now. A warm welcome, Paji. And how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Welcome. So, Paji, first of all, how has been your experience with this edition's IPL?
It's been really good. I think the UK fans are loving it. At the start, it was quite slow, but now we've had some exciting games, and people are really looking forward to watching more games.
Okay. So, Paji, today it was a double header, and we witnessed two different kind of a games. One where a team, or rather, it was a thriller, and another game which actually was a one-sided contest. So, talking about the first one between Punjab and KKR, uh, Punjab actually were dominating, but KKR pulled it back. So I just want to know from you where did Punjab actually did the mistake?
I'm still surprised how have Punjab Kings lost that game. And I think it's to do with the middle order because they rely heavily on the opening batsmen who are in the top five of the highest run getters, not the run getters, but the highest runs. They've got this year. So KKR's got the orange cap. I do believe that it's Glenn Maxwell. He may be a good fielder. Batting may be good, but we need more from him in terms of the batting. And it's just it's very disappointing for Punjab side, to lose by 2 runs. I just think that they've got I think every other box is pretty much ticked, if you ask me. They've got the young leg spin there, and the overseas spinner didn't really have a great game today. But you kind of think, if you want to bring Chris Gale back into the fold, where would he bat? He has to open the batting. Then Agarwal may have to come down a little bit. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? If you drop Chris
Yeah.
Gale, then you miss Glenn Maxwell in the fielding. But what's more important, Glenn Maxwell getting the runs or doing the stops in the field, And I think at the moment, Glenn Maxwell's batting is desperately needed for Punjab Kings.
And just for that, it's second consecutive game where Kolkata snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Last one being with the Chennai Super Kings, and there's bowlers who do the job in the last four. Don't you think that sending Prabsimran Singh before Glenn Maxwell was something which was a turning point?
I think it was a poor decision. Like, they need to get Glenn Maxwell up the order. If anything, they should bat him higher up the order so he hasn't got the pressure to go straight away in and just hit boundaries. And I think they got that bit wrong. I think Anil Kumble, I'm just not sure if he's a T20 coach. He played in an era where, he was a traditional, test cricketer, good ODI cricketer, but I don't know if he's got the flexibility in his thinking to change, the batting lineup, be flexible, while I think he likes same sort of set of groups. Like, if I was a coach, I would have brought Chris Gale in this game. They've lost 4 in a row. Put Chris Gale up the order with KKR, and Glenn Maxwell. You drop Glenn Maxwell, and in the field, even if he saves you 10 runs, you'll get 20, 30 runs from Chris Gale. So I just think Anil Kumble is a type of coach where, it's his first year in the IPL as a coach. I just don't think he's showing enough flexibility, to make sure that the team is winning.
Okay. And see, definitely because and for the KKR or rather for Dinesh Karthik, it will be a very means good day, a very pleasurable day because not only his team won, but the confidence which he gained while batting, he scored a fine half century. So that will give him some confidence regarding his personal form too.
Well, I think this IPL has been very much about Dinesh Karthik. You know, he's grown as a leader. There was one point people were thinking, well, maybe make Owen Morgan the captain. But I think he's growing and he's actually doing what Dhoni would do in India. And I think for Dhoni, the UAE just is not working for him, you know. And there's some people who are saying, you know, maybe he should make his last IPL. I think in India, it'll be a different ball game. You know, I think Dhoni is very much suited to Indian conditions. I just don't think the UAE conditions really suits his style of batting. So I just think that for certain players, you know, the UAE will be good, but for some others, it wouldn't work out. So, you know, I just don't think that people should be thinking that, oh, Dhoni, you know, makes his last IPL. I think when next year one will be in India, and if Dhoni's performing the same way, yeah, then it's probably a question mark. He's too of a bigger player, you know, just to sort of have, you know, to call it a day while the IPL is in the UAE.
Yes, yes, definitely. So my last question for the first game that now KKR won it. KKR gained a lot of confidence and they'll go marching forward. But for Kings 11 Punjab, still they haven't found their winning combination and losing six out of their first seven games. So it will the possibility of winning another six games out of the remaining seven is very bleak. So how do you see KXIP? Do you see what is the future?
Well, I think that they need to address these issues now. They've got to work out in the next 6 to 7 games, bring some consistency and start winning some games. You know, if they don't even qualify, at least they're not. At least they're thinking. You know, they've got some sort of plan in place where they think, right, for the next 7 games, 6 games, you know, who are the overseas players? Where do they perform well on which pitches? You know, because T20 is such a difficult, like, you know, and have some sort of strategy like that. You know, and bring Chris Gale back. I think if they don't play Chris Gale in any of the IPL games, I think that will be a huge disappointment, and not showing any flexibility in their coaching style or method. And you know, look, a simple thing is put Chris Gale up the order, bring KRL 2, Agarwal 3, and then you think either we play Maxwell and drop one of the seamers like Chris Jordan, who's like, he actually isn't performing very well either. That's the problem. Like, Chris Jordan does so well in English conditions, but in the UAE, again, today, he went for like 10 and over, 1 over during the IPL, he went for 30. Like, you're better off playing Chris Gale up the order and Glenn Maxwell and maybe just drop Jordan, you know, and not have Chris Jordan play. And have, you know, and I think that will be a better team for them. Strengthens the batting, and at least they've got a plan, and see how that goes.
Okay, so no matter what the result is, at least they should go all out for kill and field their best 11. That's what your plan is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they should play their best 11.
Okay. So now moving to our second game, which was the Southern Derby between Chennai Super Kings and the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Again, see, against Chennai Super Kings miscalculated the chase. And for Chennai, it's also the same that they are now have just won 2 games out of their 7. Is losing 5, and at one stage they lost 3 on the trot. So, what do you think? What do you think was the turning point in Chennai's game? Because the total was good, chaseable.
Yeah, I just think the likes of Verinda Jadeja, Dwayne Bravo, you know, MS Dhoni, Shane Watson, it's quite an aging team now, and then they're beginning to show their age. So I think next year it could be a bit of a clear out. They may just get some young players in. This possibly could be, Shane Watson's maybe last, IPL this year. Dwayne Bravo, is not performing the same way. Maybe there's a question mark on him. Sam Curran has been quite a bit of a positive, but with the aging team, I think age is now beginning to catch up with Chennai Super Kings. Unless we suddenly see all the old guys performing again. And Dwayne Bravo, he's too much below the order. He needs to go up the order. I don't know why they're hiding him. He really needs to come up the order and work something out there. But I just think, with the rest of the IPL going, if this is how Chennai Super Kings, keep playing, then I think it's going to be the age. It's just it's just not working out for them.
And do you feel if there's no mega auction, as reports say that there'll be no mega auction between this year's IPL and the next year's IPL, I think the Chennai Super Kings will be at most loss, most disappointed team will be Chennai.
Well, as there's no IPL auction, then I think it's probably perfect timing for all of these players. I think they'll probably just keep the same teams for next year, and then assess how it goes from there. So yeah, so I think this year IPL, it's all about just playing IPL cricket, and get it on TV, get the fans talking about IPL, but with no big auction being in place, I imagine all the players will be retained for Chennai Super Kings.
Okay. So again today, Kohli made a fine half century, or rather scored 90 runs after a watchful start. But the worry for Chennai was that their spinners couldn't pick a wicket, because Chennai is a team who actually depends a lot on spinners. Shardul Thakur, Sam Curran, and Deepak Chahar picked wickets, but the spinners couldn't really pick wickets. So is that really a concern for Chennai?
Yeah, look, that's a concern. I do think they're missing Harbhajan Singh. He's an experienced IPL player, and he obviously isn't joining the IPL for personal reasons. So, for that case, it does show, the likes of Suresh Raina and Harbhajan Singh. I think they're both missing these two key players. But one, concern would be of Ravindra Jadeja. He hasn't really performed as well as he should do. So the question remains, what should they do? They've got so many sort of good players in T20 cricket that are not performing. And what do? Do you get Dwayne Bravo coming up the order? Do you bring Ravindra Jadeja? Do you just push everyone up? Would that be the solution? It just kind of feels like they're coming in too late. They need to come in a bit earlier. So maybe push everyone up one.
Yes, and there was a lot of criticism on Kedar Jadhav. Finally, it was inevitable that he will be dropped today. And Jagdishan played, Narayan Jagdishan, and also batted really well. But do you think that the middle order of Chennai is really disappointing? Openers are doing, but the middle order has also been really disappointing for Chennai.
Yeah, I think the whole team, they don't know their best 11. They're not performing like we know how Chennai perform. And the concern really is that if they keep performing like this throughout the whole series, the whole IPL, people are going to lose some interest, because I think Chennai Super Kings has a huge fan base. So at some point, we need to see Chennai Super Kings performing, because it'll be good for the IPL. But I honestly think what they need to do is move everyone up one. I think Dhoni needs to come in at 4, Ravindra Jadeja at 5, Dwayne Bravo at 6, and 7 needs to be Sam Curran. So that's how it needs to be, I believe, or drop maybe Sam Curran down 1, and then Dwayne Bravo comes in at 7 and have one of the domestic players in there. But that's what I think will be good, is to see Dhoni up the order. But maybe maybe he feels like the young Indian domestic players should be given the opportunity, because that's what they're there for, to get the exposure as well. So yeah, it's a very difficult thing when all his players like Virender Jadeja, Dwayne Bravo, they're not performing, and puts a lot of pressure on MS Dhoni.
Okay, and as you rightly mentioned that they actually don't have replacements. They are missing. They don't have an off spinner. They are really missing Harbhajan Singh, as you mentioned, and they don't have replacements. See, for Kedar Jadhav, they had Narayan Jagdishan, who is actually an opener, wicket-keeper batsman and opener, or Rituraj Gaikwad. So they are actually not having the replacement. You rightly mentioned. But and last question before actually joining the fans is any comment on RCB's bowling, because that is what led always RCB down, but this time they actually defended 169,
Yeah,
taking, and in power play they just, yeah.
Yeah, I think Sundar's a good bowler. Sundar is doing great for them. So they've got the young sort of domestic players who do good, and Washington as well. So he's got some good bowlers, which in the past he hasn't had the young Indian domestic bowlers bowling well. So good to see that Virat Kohli is back on form and with a win.
So today Chris Morris played in place of Moeen Ali. So do you think this is their perfect 11? I think so. Chris Morris should be permanent in the team.
Well, they've to beat Super Kings and Chris Morris did really well. It looks like this is their best 11. But they need the likes of Sundar bowling. Moeen Ali is a good cricketer. You can't keep him out of the team. But this is an interesting one. Would you want the off spin or would you want the Chris Morris? And I will probably go for Chris Morris at the moment.
Okay, and actually he performed really well. A major concern was that whether his Yorkers are getting right, whether his variation is going right, whether he's bowling right or not. That was the major concern. And he showed it today. So now I'll add the fans. So first one is I have Ayushi here. So Ayushi, can you please switch on your mic? I think there is a okay, she's there. So hello Ayushi, you're live. You're live now.
Hi. Hi,
Hello,
sir.
and you're okay.
Yeah.
So any questions, any opinions, thoughts?
No, sir, I think whatever you said was very inspiring, and the tips and everything that you gave for this year's IPL is also very analytical and thoughtful. I just want to understand, what do you think will be the future after the coronavirus impact? I mean, what will be the impact of coronavirus on the cricket aspect?
Yeah, look, I think at the moment, once the players are staying in the bubble, we would see. I think we'll see, quite a bit of cricket being played. But at some point, once this virus, does calm down, and the cases in the UK have risen up again since March, eventually we would like to see fans, back in the stadiums, and if it's social distancing, fans as a first sort of step, and eventually, at least see 10 or 20% capacity of the stadium being filled. That would be really good. I'll be surprised to see, in a year's time, if we see full, capacity stadiums. But even if 20%, that'll be good.
Yes, sir, absolutely. That's I think very precise. Also, I just wanted to know one more thing. What is the? I mean, you've played cricket, and you've had this stadium experience. Does fan experience matter? Like, does it give you a boost while playing cricket, or does it make an impact?
Yeah, look, so I think for some cricketers it's great. They love the fans. They get a lot of energy from playing in front of the fans. So yeah, fan experience. I think you'd ask all cricketers; they would love playing in front of fans. But I think what they've done now, the IPL have substituted with the fan experience, with some of the sort of, you could see the videos of 67 sort of, fans enjoying themselves. And then they also got the sound as well. They've got like, the crowd sound, which kind of helps. But eventually we would like to see, crowds in, it gives a great experience to the players playing in the IPL, and also fans themselves. There's a revenue that comes from selling tickets, and I think that desperately needs, for all kind of sporting events.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Ayushi. If you want to be there, you can be in the stream. So another one, we have Thavi Acharya. So hello, Thavi. You're live in the stream.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. So, I think what you said, everything about it was very inspiring and insightful. But one thing I wanted to ask was, how does your fame, does it affect your personal life? Like, how do you manage your personal life as well as your sports career? Do you face any kind of difficulties over there? And if yes, how do you handle it?
Well, I think cricket's one aspect that you kind of like focus on, and then there's obviously your personal life, with your family, your friends, and what you do, in your personal time. That obviously has to kind of like remain sort of private, because there's certain things that family and close friends don't want to be part of your celebrity, your fame status. They would rather just get to know you as the person. And sometimes they like that sort of distance, and other times, when you are kind of like a recognizable person, and you're famous, then what ends up happening is you can actually help with a lot of causes, especially with the government or, society stuff. So yeah, look, there's pros and cons with all of it, but it's, the best sort of sports people, they know how to manage their private and their public life.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. It helped a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Thavi. Thanks a lot. So in the meantime, I also want to tell the viewers that we at Go Beyond Sports, our aim is to empower through sports, empowerment through sports. And Monty Paji will be there every day for the post-match analysis. You can ask him questions. You can be there. For that, you need to subscribe the channel and tune in at 11:45 p.m. IST. And as you heard today, that he has been really blunt, not on what strategies went wrong. Although I know Paji is a very big fan of Kings 11 Punjab, but he has been blunt on what has been wrong. So, Paji, just one question. RCB has actually done better compared to the other seasons. Not that better, but a roller coaster of a tournament, a mixed performance. So, how do you see RCB? Do you see them in top four?
Well, they could, quite possibly to be in the top four, but I think they need to, perform. Sort of their mid-table team, I think. They still relying heavily on Kohli. If he doesn't do well, they still, they don't. They sort of, it's that. That's the way RCB play at the moment. So in my opinion, look, I think that they can make it there, but I think there are other teams which are slightly stronger, and likes of Delhi Capitals. They've got a young captain under Ricky Ponting, and they've done really well. Mumbai Indians were always going to do well. They seem to be the strongest team out there. So yeah, they're the two sort of kind of like strong teams, and Rajasthan Royals are kind of like sort of having a bit of a wobble at the moment. And with Ben Stokes coming back, hopefully he could lift the team spirit of Rajasthan Royals. So yeah, look, I think that there could be the top four. RCB are third, and quite possibly end up being second in the group. So yeah, look, they could do that, but I think RCB need to not rely so heavily on Kohli, because if they keep doing that, it will end up just like every year it does. It's like the Virat Kohli show, but RCB win nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it needs to be more contribution coming in, because I think other teams know now. The other teams know that, look, we know RCB. When it comes big games, they're going to rely on Kohli, and if he performs, great. But we as a team can beat RCB. And I think that's how the other teams, kind of look at when they're playing against, RCB.
Okay. And just a quick word on Ravi Bishnoi. When I had a chat with you earlier, then also I mentioned that I personally admire, and you also told that he is a really good spinner and a player to watch out for in the IPL. So now you have seen him bowling in the IPL. So what's your take on Ravi Bishnoi?
Yeah, look, he's a young cricketer who's showing a lot of promise, and I think he's not afraid of challenging himself against the best players, and that's good to see. That's what you need. You need him to be performing and bowling against the best players. Then that's how he's going to get better. And he does. He appears, that he's got that temperament, that character to actually take on the best players in IPL cricket and get them out. So yeah, he's doing a brilliant job.
And under the mentorship of Anil Kumble, I think he'll evolve as a player.
Yeah, look, there's no question that under Anil Kumble, he's done really well. And the reason he's done well is because leg spin, they're both, of the same trade. And I'm sure, he'll be learning a lot from Anil Kumble. So it seems like a perfect match.
Yeah. So, guys, it's time now to take your leave and wrap up the show. Tomorrow, I and Monty Paji will be there at your service at 11:45 p.m. IST. So just you need to subscribe the channel and tune in at 11:45 p.m. for the post-match analysis. Thanks a lot for today. Thanks a lot, Monty Paji, for joining.
Thank you. You. See you.
It was really an honor. It was really an honor and pleasure to discuss cricket with you.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone tuning in, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Paji, and thanks a lot, Ayushi, also for joining.
Thanks, bye.